You have a term, I think I've heard you say that is danger brings clarity. And I think you said that when people asked why you base jump and skydive, but I think you've talked about the times you had overseas where you noticed that that danger did bring you some clarity, and it was something that I think you found somehow soothing as well. And maybe that's why you pursue some of these other aspects. Am I getting that right? Or is there a better way to explain that?
I'd say you're 95% there. And it's not something that's unique to the military. There have been books written about this. And the most common term that I've heard to describe that headspace is the flow state. And people find it all the time in high level sports, whether that be, I've heard it, ski jumping for whatever reason rings that I've heard it true to me. I've heard professional shooters talking about it. I've heard MMA fighters talking about it. I've heard people who publicly speak talk about before they go on stage. It's more than, I don't know if it was caused by the danger, because I've been able to find it elsewhere. A good example would be jiu-jitsu, where there really is no danger. You know, you're simulating murder with a buddy and you've made an agreement you're not going to kill each other. So there's really not that high of stakes. You're not going to die, but you can find that state of hyper focus, hyper attention on just one thing. And I certainly found it overseas though. You know, I would usually find it in a helicopter ride when we were starting to get closer to the objective. And it's just, I would describe it as my mind's ability to pare away the things that no longer mattered in the moment. So I'm not worried about an argument with my spouse or whether or not there's enough money in the checking account or the phone call we just had because the washer and dryer are no longer working because of whatever reason. They always seem to fail when you're on deployment, when you can do nothing about it. And then, you know, you get to the 1 minute out, and all you're thinking about is the next thing that you need to do, your actions, what you need to do next, the tactic, the technique, the procedure that you need to execute. And it's an amazing place to be. And I think it's actually a very mentally refreshing place to be, because speaking for myself, I am bombarded, and I suspect most people are every day, with just information, communication, social media, traditional media. And you're thinking about and you're worrying about so much stuff. And I don't think most people even realize they're being bombarded on a daily level. And to find a place where none of that registers, where you have this umbrella up and those raindrops are just bouncing off of it instead of getting in between your ears, is hugely beneficial. It resets for me a lot of my thought process. It resets for me a lot of my emotional process. And I think it's a very powerful place to be. It has impact. I'll go to in 2 hours from now, I'll be going and I'll be doing jiu-jitsu. We do a class and then we roll for an hour afterwards. And that hour for me of just playing the game with another person and only thinking about that, because if you're trying to think 8 moves ahead, you're going to get choked out 2 moves from where you are. If you're thinking about whether or not you have enough money in your checking account to cover your mortgage, you're going to get choked out. I can tell you that right now, because that's happened to me more than once. But it's beautiful. That 1 hour sets me up for days or weeks. It's just so refreshing to find that place.